people really truly have synesthesia in that they hear something and they see something very clear, or vice versa. For me, the only thing I have is like numbers or colors. I've had this since I was a child. But, we hear with our ears, and the information goes to one part of the brain. We see with our eyes, the information goes to a different part of the brain, and they're not happening at the same time. Light arrives much faster than sound. So I don't know that, I think part of this show is exploring the relationship of light and sound and color and sound, and I think there's an emotional relationship that's very obvious. And I think that I don't think there's a one-to-one relationship. I think one influences the other. For instance, before the show, I wasn't, if I saw this building, I would think, oh, it's a nice building. But now I could write music that, for me, would fit this building. And I think that that's become a lot easier for me to discover that relationship. But I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's like sound is light is. I think that's if you believe that, you're sort of going down the wrong path, because you'll end up confusing the brain too much, or trying to create a relationship that's not really there. The show is totally, for the most part, in abstract. There's some things where the guitar is talking, and there's some very specific images, or there's, photographs and video from the real world. But I like to keep it in the abstract because I'm playing instrumental music, and that, to me, is an abstract form. And so, I'm not trying to show people that, this note means this color, or this sound means this image. It's more, this sound influences this feeling. Then maybe you get the same feeling from the image and the sound, or maybe not. Young, I think I just realized that it was possible, that the guitar didn't have to stay in the same tuning at all, and from there that opened up the guitar, because in standard tuning is really, really good for playing in all different keys and playing bar chords and playing shapes that allow you to play anyone's music. Alter tunings allow you to hear the sound of the guitar a bit better, the open strings, the length of the decay. So you might be playing an open string and then fretting something, and that open string fades, and there's a length to that fade that's unique to each guitar. And I think open tunings really work well on the acoustic guitar, because they have that. It's almost like a piano with the pedal down. That the loudest part of the note is the first part of the note, and then it fades out, and everything's playing on top of it, so it's like this musical soup that you kind of hear. And so I think once I discovered that, I just started learning which tunings I liked better, which I could play in, which I could write more in, which were more versatile, which were more specific. So some tunings I've only written one song, and some tunings I've written 20 or 30. Yeah, well, I think everything, you know, I think like, I think the difference between coming into a theater, sitting down, being quiet, turning your phone off, that's one type of experience of a gig. Going outside in a piazza, you know, having a drink, smoking a cigarette, watching something, like that's a very different experience. I think that you're gonna feel the music differently depending on where you are. So if you're like in this, you know, narrow, like concentration place where you want to be really just like absorb everything, then that's, you know, you'll experience one thing. You'll experience the music a certain way, and if you're kind of at a party or at something where you're just trying to enjoy life, it's like, oh, then the music sort of adds to that enjoyment. Or, you know, I think there's a lot of different ways to do it. So I try to play places that are a bit of both. So a place where you can be quiet, concentrate, be contemplative, and enjoy the experience, but also not so serious that you can't move or you can't, you know, I mean, like there has to be a little bit of feeling relaxed. Well, you know, I think that I'll say this, it's more about the people. So it's not the place, but the people. If the people are like really energetic and really excited, then I absolutely will play differently. If they're very quiet and very, you know, like I can almost feel them listening, then I'll play very differently and I'll play more delicately. And so yeah, so the people definitely change the gig. Oh man, you know, like, yeah, no, it's different. It's weird, you know, I think that there's so much happiness in my life and so much joy, and my daughter brings me that every day and she's amazing, but I think there's still a place of intangible darkness or like, you know, feelings that maybe are not my feelings anymore, but they're still feelings that I would like to put in the music. So it hasn't changed fundamentally how I write and what I do, because I think that maybe I was never really in control of that in the first place. So with my daughter, I play guitar and I play whatever, and she's like, you know, she's this tiny little kid dancing out. But when I write music, it's still, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just kind of letting it happen, and it still hasn't really changed, like from like black to white. It's still what I want to be writing. Yeah.